Hey everyone, it's been a few days since I recorded my last video, the first video. I'm feeling much better. I think it's day 6 of quarantine, and I've talked to a lot of people and just spent a lot of time thinking myself. So yeah, I went out to get a Starbucks, even though I'm not supposed to do it, but technically I kind of am. I mean, they've told me I can go out and get groceries near my house, and I guess Starbucks could be counted as groceries or whatever. So I went out to get a Starbucks, and I was wearing a really cute outfit like the entire experience, and I sat in the park by Olympic Stadium, and you know, I kind of starting to feel that I live in quite a pretty city and it's not that bad. And I mean, I finally enjoyed something, which made me quite happy. I mean, you can probably tell. So it's a really big difference from my first video, and it's been just 30 days, I guess, or whatever. So yeah, this video is probably titled, Are we going through existential crisis our entire lives? Or something like that. And I've been thinking about it a lot because I was telling everyone, I'm going through existential crisis right now once again and stuff. And then I got thinking into it much more and more and realized that isn't like going through existential crisis is a whole human thing that we do our entire lives. And sometimes it's just a bit worse than usual, but I mean, don't we all like question our existence and ourselves and life and death things our entire lives? Like, isn't it like the whole idea of being a human and being alive? So yeah, kind of like that. And I talked to my dad about like, I don't know if you've seen my previous video, probably not, but I've been talking to him about not wanting anything and kind of being extremely confused and like probably the most confused I've ever been, and kind of how do I say, give up on everything I planned or wanted or dreamed on. And he just told me, actually he's the first one who gave me a really good advice, which is really simple, which was just that he said, I don't know if like it's a good thing to say, but maybe for now you should just do nothing and like go with the flow, like be in the river. How do I call it? It's like drift or something. It's called дрейфить in Russian, but it means basically like you're a log in a river and you just like go down the flow and you don't do anything. So basically go with the flow, but without actually doing anything. And he said, oh, you're in school right now, and you know, the best thing you could do is just finish your school. And if you do that, it's gonna be great. But if you don't, whatever. So it made me feel so much better. Like, I don't know, because it is actually what I was planning to do, just like doing nothing and kind of living the simple life without planning anything or like aspiring anything, actually. Because I'm a very like aspiring person. I always through my life, I always wanted something big. And when I was like 5, my first dream job was to be a Hollywood star, and I just didn't get why no one wants to be a Hollywood star, because like to be super rich and successful, you just need to want it, right? That's what I was thinking like way back. And maybe it is true. You just need to want something and just get it. But now I don't want it. And now I realize why adult people don't want it, because they realize how hard it is and how much effort it takes. So now I'm choosing to aspire nothing, go nowhere, and dream about nothing as well. Just for the time being. I don't know for how long, do whatever I want, except dropping out of university. I shouldn't do that probably. It's just for the best if I finish it. So yeah, it was kind of like that. And I used to do a little bit of that when I was younger to kind of get in a better headspace, but I forgot about it for some reason. And another thing is that I've also been talking about it in my previous video briefly, that I have a hard time breathing, and I went to this like special doctor 3 times on my during my Christmas holidays back in Europe. And she told me that the reason why I can't breathe and why I feel like so tense, she told me that basically that my body is like so extremely tense that she's just shocked how it could be that tense in my age. I'm 20, by the way. So she said that I probably have lots of things unspoken inside of me, which was kind of weird because I'm a very honest person, at least with myself, and I think I'm quite honest with others as well. So I was quite kind of confused when she told me that, like, that you have probably lots of unspoken things inside of you. But then I realized that I live in Japan and I speak Japanese on a daily basis. It's a very different experience if you live in Japan and you speak Japanese rather than when you don't, because when you speak Japanese fluently, you kind of have to be like Japanese people. I don't know, it probably won't make sense, but when you speak English, you just speak like the way that you usually speak. But when you speak Japanese, you speak how you're supposed to speak, in a right way of speaking, and right way of manners and stuff, and being like extra cautious and extra careful and extra about everything. And because I'm really good at adapting to things, I was also like that. I was like very, very Japanese when I speak English, like so Japanese that I've heard so many times if I were born in Japan or someone of my parents are Japanese, but it's not true. Like I actually did DNA test. I have 0 Asian blood. I'm like 100% European, 97.4% Eastern European, which is like which is Ukraine, Central Ukraine, Western Russia, and Eastern Poland. So I'm like very, very pure blood Eastern European. But whatever. And because Japanese people are extremely cautious and think about everyone else like a lot, and because I was doing that on a daily basis, because I speak Japanese, I go to a school where all of my classmates are Japanese. I work with Japanese people. Like basically, it's all around me. It made me like very, very, like that, which I'm not like when I speak Russian or English or Ukrainian. So probably it was the reason why I felt so tense inside and why I couldn't breathe, or why I was so unspoken. So I've been watching a little bit of HRH, I think it's HRH collection compilation videos, or just her videos on YouTube. I don't know if you know her, but she's like this super pretty, skinny, successful LA girl who just vents, like extremely vents. She's kind of like Trisha Paytas, but less weird, I guess. Yes, I've been watching her videos, and she's like super straightforward and, and unhinged. So it influenced me a lot, and I kind of like stopped caring that much, and I ran into like few problems with different things when I had to like figure out some stuff with payments or whatever. And instead of being like super nervous or like sorry for what happened, I just dealt with it, without any this bullshit that I usually did, of being extra at something. And it made me feel so much better. And even now when I went to get a Starbucks and I was ordering it, I wasn't like ordering it like usually, like very, すみません、カラメルマキアットグランデサイズでお願いしますみたいな、like not like, but I just ordered it as if I ordered it in English, like caramel macchiato grande size or something like that. It probably doesn't make sense, but if you lived in Japan and you speak Japanese, you definitely know what I'm talking about. So yeah, and it was like a freeing moment. It's really, really stupid, but it really felt like a freeing moment of kind of being more of myself. And since I've definitely decided that I won't stay in Japan after I finish my university, which is another 3 years, for God's sake, I just feel like whatever, I'm just gonna be myself, and whoever thinks whatever, they could think that, and I really don't care. And another thing that made me feel much better was I talked with my best friend here in Tokyo. I She's just this Chinese girl who is, I don't know how to explain her. Um, Basically, she doesn't plan anything in her life, and she makes decisions like really quick and on the spot. Um, and I've been talking to her about how I've been feeling lately and how I don't want to plan anything and stuff. And then she just told me, then just simply don't plan anything, you know? You never know what's going to happen next. And plans usually never turn out the way you plan them. So, and knowing her really, really well, because she's like my best friend here and I know her really well, it made me feel much, much better because, you know, she's living a great life and there is literally nothing stopping me to live the same life as she does. So I've had these few freeing moments in the past few days. So yeah, it's been kind of a big deal. And another thing that I'm planning to change is that I've been wearing only black clothing, like only black or black and white, for over a year now, about a year and a half. And I actually changed my wardrobe like drastically once a year usually. It started since I moved to Japan. I dressed before Japan extremely differently. Like I was very, very extra, like super, super extra. And then when I moved to Japan, I literally got rid of all of my clothes. I didn't throw them away. I gave them to my friends, but I got rid of everything, absolutely everything. And I bought everything new in only 4 colors: black, white, beige, and gray. And I had a really little amount of clothes and very, very simple, like no prints, no anything, like one pair of shoes. So like extremely minimalistic wardrobe. And I was wearing it for about a year. And then I was dating a guy and I broke up with him. And I don't think it was the reason, but I just felt like I needed a change. And I felt kind of edgy back then. So I decided to start wearing only black. And since I had a very little amount of clothes, I got rid of it really easily and just bought everything new. And for the record, I don't buy any expensive clothing. Like my probably 95% of my wardrobe is Uniqlo or Muji, which is like cheap stores. And a little bit of thrifting, but I generally don't like thrifted stuff because it's hard to explain. It just doesn't feel very fresh. So yeah, and I was wearing only black for this entire year. And now I feel like I wanna stop wearing only black and kind of put back some color in my life and change my look a little bit, because when I was wearing only black, and I'm also a fashion major, by the way. It doesn't matter at all, but just for the record, like my look was very, very modern and sharp. Like I didn't want any influence from, 90s or 2000s or 80s or whatever, which is like really a thing in a modern world. Like we stopped having very, very distinct trends anymore because there's so many mixed up things in what people wear nowadays, and we take stuff from previous generations a lot and stuff, but I hate all of that and I really hate trends. So I just wanted to have a very solid, sharp, and current looking, or maybe even a little bit futuristic type of clothing, and that's what I was doing for a year. But now I kind of want a new look, a more laid back look, since now I don't want to expire anything or don't want to plan anything or don't want to like actually move anywhere deliberately. I think that a laid back look would be a great idea. So that's my next plan, and the first thing I'm gonna buy, I'm gonna buy a little by little. I'm not gonna get rid of my current clothes because it's black. I just need to put some color in it. The first thing I'm gonna get is my first ever pair of Levi's. I never ever had Levi's in my entire life, and never actually had a really good pair of jeans, you know. So I'm gonna get a pair of Levi's and also start buying more of clothes that are not Uniqlo or Muji, not something expensive, probably in the same price range or a little bit more expensive, but something more interesting, I guess. And since I'm a model, and I've been modeling for like 3 years now, I know a lot of great brands who I worked with before, and I just checked their websites and I found so many clothes that I actually like, even though during photo shoot I hate the clothing. Yeah, and you know, just like being a model, you kind of realize that almost no matter what you wear, you're gonna look good in it, and basically that's why you're a model, because you have this certain look that you can put anything on, kind of. It applies more to guys, I guess, because modeling is much more strict with girls. Like, I actually feel bad for girls in modeling. Like, for all of my sisters who are in modeling, like, stay strong, really, because for guys it's way easier. There's much less work for guys, but still it's much easier on us. So whatever, and then I got my coffee and I went to sit in a little park near the Olympic Stadium. And I live in a really nice neighborhood, and I moved here this summer. And I thought that my previous neighborhood was like the best place to live in Tokyo. But now I realize that this place is the best place to live in Tokyo. Like, anyone from Shinanamachi gang, if you're here, hit me up. It was so cringe. So yeah, because I was just like, I was able to appreciate what I have a little bit more finally. Even though I was good at it before, but you know, when you're in a state of despair, it's really hard to appreciate anything because you really don't care about anything. But I just walked home today and realized that how great it is that I live here in this neighborhood, and that in general the place that I live in is really great, and the city itself. Like, Tokyo is a great city to live in, like, not gonna lie. It's definitely not the easiest city to live in, but it's great. It's definitely great. And then I thought, okay, if I'm longing to live, like, to go home so much, like, if I actually did move home to Kiev, which is the capital of Ukraine, like, what my life is gonna be there. Like, I definitely would hate it. And you know, we have a saying in Russian which says, oh, in Ukrainian actually, "Dobre tam, de nas nema," which means the best place is where we are not at. And that is so true. Like, no matter where we are, we're always longing to be somewhere else, or with someone else. So maybe I should just get over myself. That was another like big thought. Just get over yourself. And another thing that my dad told me is that I should probably stop digging too deep, because you know, more we ask, I mean, asking ourselves big questions is important, but it's also what leads us to kind of not being in the healthiest place. Actually, I was watching this video, or it was it was a video which said why modern people have much more mental illnesses than people before. And the reason, I didn't watch it fully, but the main idea was that nowadays we have much less things to care about. Like, we, generally speaking, we live in a much more safer and easier to live environment, and that's why we have much more time to think about bigger questions, because our mind is not like filled with, oh, what should I do to survive, or what should I do, you know, whatever. And because we have so much time to ask ourselves big questions, and that's what humans do, so many of us get, I don't know, anxiety disorders or depression or panic disorders. And by the way, panic disorders, I've never heard about, I've heard people having panic attacks, but I've heard for the first time of panic disorder because I called my friend called me for the first time in a year because we had a really big fight a year ago, which is a really rare thing. I don't really get into fights with people, but we did, and like we were catching up on what happened in this year, and he told me that he was diagnosed with like a very extreme form of panic disorder, and I've never heard of that. And when he like described it to me, I was really shocked that people live with that. It's like so bad. Like I didn't expect it to be so bad. And he's like on medication, and he told me like from the first pill that he took, like 70% of his illness like went away. He felt like. So, but he lived with it for so long. So yeah, and all of us, not all of us, but a lot of people have these disorders. And my dad told me that I should probably not dig too deep. And just like, he didn't tell me to get over myself, but that's what I understood, that I should probably get over myself. And in the end of the day, in my perspective of living, if nothing, I truly believe that nothing really matters, and the life itself has absolutely zero meaning, like absolutely zero meaning. And I do not believe in any missions that we are born with, or higher power and etc. And if it's like that, and we are humans and we have our brains and we basically have a freedom to do almost whatever we want, then the only meaning or the only thing that we should do is just to enjoy. If we have 50, 60, 80 years, 20 years of life to live, then we should probably just enjoy it. And it doesn't matter if you're enjoying it while being, I don't know, on Maldives or whatever, or sitting in a Mercedes. If you're enjoying life and you know how to do it in any circumstances that you're at, that's what matters. And the idea of success or making it is kind of like crushing in my head, because what we humans do is make our lives more complicated. We are the ones who make our lives more complicated, but in reality it's probably much more simple than that. And while I was sitting in a park, there were many little birds. I don't know how they're called. It's just like city birds, not pigeons, like really little ones, who usually like live in packs. And there were like tons of these birds, like actually tons of them. They were sitting in bushes and being really close to people. And I was just looking at these birds, and one of them flew to the tree and was sitting on it, and probably like trying to find food or like a worm or a bug. And I was just thinking that what kind of thought process does this little bird have? Like, she knows where to find those bugs and worms. Like, she flies and then she sees the tree, and then some process, I don't know if it's a thought process, probably not a thought process, but some process happens in her mind. Then she flies to the tree and she sits on it and trying to find a worm or bug in a certain place on the tree. And she knows that, like, she has some knowledge in her head. I mean, I don't know if you can call an instinct to know where to find food. I guess that like migrating is an instinct, to fly back from where you came from, or mating is an instinct, but like finding food, or like choosing to fly to a tree or to sit on a bench or something, even such a little creature has these processes in their minds. And our mind process is like billion times more complicated, but we as creatures are probably not much more complicated. Like, as an existing creature, me and that little bird, we probably our life has the same value. And it's just about existing and living and doing some random stuff that comes up to our minds, and doing it until we're dead. So yeah, this is my vent. It's not even a vent. um these are my thoughts on existential crisis, and that we're all in it our entire lives. And I've been talking to my friend again, to my other friend, and that if life is a cycle, then the only goal in life is to die. And if it's the only goal in life, then why don't just like die right now? I mean, you can die whenever you want, honestly. You have the power to do it. And then I thought, and okay, then what's the worth of living life then? Because life is hard. Like, life is fucking hard. I don't know why everyone makes seem like it's so easy. Life is really, really hard. And I am a very privileged person. Like, I'm extremely privileged person, and it's still really hard for me. And I don't even know how people who are less privileged than I am living their lives. Like, I have no idea, because even to me, life is really not worth living. Like, it's too hard to be worth living, honestly. Like, of course there are really great parts to living, but objectively judging it and deciding if it's worth it, I don't think it's worth it. Like, totally not. Just the fear of death is too big to just finish it all right now and not to complete. No, you still complete the cycle, and it's not less natural to complete the cycle if you complete it in with your own hands. But whatever. And I don't know where I've been going with it. Yeah, and I asked him, like, what is the purpose, and like, why you just don't end it right now? And he said, because I believe in mission. And I said, really? You believe in mission? Like, and he said, and I asked, what's your mission then? And he said, to love. And I get it, but just again, like, love is just such a broad concept and just such a broad idea that, in my mind, I don't know how can you call it a mission. Because what is even love? Like, you can love so many things, and you love in a very, very different way, but maybe it's all the same in the end of the day. And he said, I live for love. And he's not the first person who said it. My other best friend, who I've already mentioned, she says the same thing, that she lives for love. And I felt love before, and it is a very, very, I felt it only once and for a really short period of time. And it is a really extreme feeling, and I get why people get really, really attached to it. But at the same time, it's not that simple to be worth living for it, because it has extreme ups and downs. Like, I was comparing love to drugs, which is a very cliche thing to do, but love it is kind of like drugs, because you feel this extreme euphoria in the very beginning, and you actually start thinking like you want to live for it like your entire life. I also thought that, like, actually did this one time when I fell in love. Like, I thought it, like, this is probably the only thing I can live for. But at the same time, on the other side of it, there is so much pain to it, and it's like just so bad, like, from both sides. Like, it's two sides of extremes, like, the most beautiful and the best feeling ever, and also like the worst feeling ever. But comparing it to drugs, like, drugs have no benefits in your life. I mean, like, really hard drugs. I'm not like, well, weed is questionable. I don't think it's as simple as it is, even though I do smoke weed. Not in Japan though. But still, like, in the end of the day, drugs are as dangerous as love, but love at least can potentially be the best thing in your life, or the thing that will fulfill your life. But drugs will never have that. It's like the biggest difference between love and drugs. So yeah, but in the end of the day, I understand everyone's points on that, but I just simply cannot believe in mission, or any higher power or God or whatever. I wish I could. I honestly so badly wish I could, but I just simply can't. It's just my mind doesn't work in that way, unfortunately. So yeah, and in the end of the day, I'm not a special person whatsoever. And even though we say it, right, like everyone is so special, you're so special, you're one of a kind. But actually, you're not. We're really, really similar creatures, and we go through a very similar experiences. And in the end of the day, I mean, there is definitely someone who have felt the same feeling that you're feeling right now, or have thought the same thought that you're thinking right now. Like, you're really not that special. Like, no one is. So, other people went through it. Someone wasn't been able to go through it, like push through it or whatever. But for now, I'll just live in any form there is available for me, like actually any. And maybe not feeling lots of feelings is a good thing. When you're really, really upset, you're just thinking, oh my gosh, I just want these feelings to end. And when you feel nothing, you're just thinking, oh my gosh, I want to feel at least something. So you'll never be satisfied. We'll never be satisfied. There's always something missing, and it's a part of being a human. And I'll just have to get over it, I guess. That's it for the video. I don't know if it's probably a positive note. I don't know if it is, but whatever. Who cares? So thanks for watching. If you watched it entirely, I'm really enjoying like randomly saying my thoughts to the camera and uploading it to my YouTube video. I'll be probably doing it more because I don't like journaling, so it's probably my way of journaling, I guess. And maybe I'll come up with ideas of what to discuss that is not only what's happening in my life and in my head. Maybe discuss some experiences. Again, it's still my experiences, so whatever. Okay, thanks everyone. You can write down in the comments what you've thought, or we can discuss something. It would have been cool. So yeah, thanks. Till next time. Bye.